Hello everyone, welcome back to Pabbly. In this video, we are going to learn how to create Xero Invoice on Google Form submission. I am a freelancer providing digital marketing services to multiple firms, startups and companies. For each of the client, there is a different kind of requirement, and here I want to create the invoices for each of the client to systemize my payment and financial management. Now, here I have created a special inquiry form with the help of Google Forms. As soon as a client is going to submit that form with their details, their company details, as well as the service which they required, I want to automatically generate an invoice in Xero for that same service. To automate this entire process, I will have to set up the connection between Google Forms and Xero, and that we are going to do without any coding and any programming skills, simply with the help of Pabbly Connect. So for your business, if you also want to learn this amazing automation step by step, for that you have to come towards my screen. Welcome to my screen everyone. In this video, we are going to learn that how we can automatically create Xero Invoice for Google Form submission. So I am a freelancer providing digital marketing services to multiple companies and startups, and for that I have created a Google Form. From my website, when an interested client in any of the services is going to submit this particular form with their name, their email, their business name, their phone number, alright, along with the service which they want to select, which they require, then automatically an invoice will be generated in Xero for that client. Okay. Now, to automate this entire process without any coding and any programming skills, I am going to simply set up a connection between this Google form which I have created and my Xero account. To do this, we have to use Pabbly Connect. That is an amazing automation and integration software. Pabbly Connect helps us to build the connections between our work applications effortlessly without any coding or programming to automate our daily repetitive task. This is the home page of Pabbly Connect, where we can reach by typing the URL pabbly.com/connect in our browser. After coming over here, we will find two options: sign in and sign up for free. So if you are already an existing user like me, just click on sign in to log into your account. But if you are a new user, you have to click on this sign up for free button. It will help you to create a free new account just in 2 minutes. Also, when you will do that, you're going to receive 100 free tasks every month to explore this amazing software and to test multiple automations. Now, as an existing user, here I'm going to click on sign in. This is all app section where we can find all the products which are offered by Pabbly. To create this automation, I'm going to use Pabbly Connect. So let's click on access now. And you can see it has taken us towards the dashboard of Pabbly Connect. On the dashboard, we will find all the workflows which we have created. And to save our workflows, we can also create separate folders over here like this. Now, to create a new workflow, let's click on this create workflow option. As we have done that, a dialog box is appeared in front of us, which is asking us to provide a name to this workflow. So first of all, let me provide a name over here. Create Xero Invoice on Google Form submission. After giving the name to my workflow, then I'm going to select the folder in which I want to save this workflow. So you can see I have a list of folders over here. Among these folders, because the automation which I am going to create is related to payment management for my business, so I'm going to select automations for payment management over here. Then let's click on create. As we have done that, you can see a new screen is open in front of us. The screen contains two extremely important windows, trigger and actions. So what are trigger and action? Trigger and actions are the two main concepts, the principles, or we can say these are the building blocks on which the entire automation works. Here the trigger says when this happens and the action says do this. That means the action is the response towards our trigger. So whatever we are going to select in our trigger is going to command the entire workflow, and the actions are going to follow that same command. Therefore, we can have only one trigger in any workflow, but we can add as many action steps as we want. Now, let's suppose my objective is that every time a new form will be every time a client is going to submit my Google form related to the inquiry for the services which they want, automatically an invoice will be generated along with all the details of the client, their company, as well as the service along with the price. Okay. So here for that, we have to select Google Forms in trigger and Xero in action. When we are going to set up the connection between these applications, we will see that action is going to follow what the trigger commands. Because when the trigger happens, that means when the Google form is submitted, then only the invoice will be generated in Xero for that same client, otherwise not. Now, as a freelancer, the major problem is that I have multiple clients related to different companies, different backgrounds, firms, partnership, business, or small startups. Okay, I have to provide services to each of them, and I have multiple services to provide. such as SEO, digital marketing, content creation, content writing, etc. For each of the services, I charge different fee, and for each of them, I have to create the invoices so that the payment could be systematically structured. Okay, but here doing it manually is definitely going to take a lot of time and it is prone to errors. Therefore, there is a requirement for me to start using automation for this entire process, and this is the reason why I'm setting up this automation. Alright, so now after understanding the whole concept of trigger and action, let us quickly start creating our automation step by step. Now, let us start quickly. For that, we have to go towards our trigger step first of all to start with the process, and we have to select our trigger application. What application you want to use in order to start this workflow. Every time form will be submitted in Google Forms, the response should be captured in Pabbly Connect, and with that response, the workflow should trigger. So the trigger application over here in that case will be Google Forms. After selecting the trigger application, then we have to select the trigger event. New response received will be our trigger event over here. This means that now every time a new form will be submitted, the response is going to be captured. But in order to do that, we have to build the connection between Google Forms and Pabbly Connect first of all. To build this connection, you can see we have received a webhook URL, and also here we have some instructions. So basically, we need to follow the instructions step by step to set up this connection successfully, and the webhook URL is going to act as a bridge for transferring the data of every new form submission towards Pabbly Connect. So let's copy the webhook URL, and then I will tell you exactly what you are supposed to do. So for that, first of all, let me take you towards the form which I have created. You can see these are the forms. It contains the details of the client as well as their company details as well as the service selection, that in which service they want to enroll for. Okay. Now, we have to connect this form with Pabbly Connect. To do that, we have to go towards response section, and you can see here we have the option of view in sheets. If your form is a new one, you will find two options: create a new sheet or open the link sheet. So because I have already linked my form with my sheet, Google Sheet, so I'm just going to go towards view in sheet option. But if the form is new, you have to go for creating a new one. Okay. As you will do that, this form is directly linked with the Google Sheets. Okay, so here we have all the columns in the spreadsheet as the fields we have in our form: name, email, phone number, service, selection, and the business name. And you can see same fields we have in our form as well. Here we have an extra field as well, that is of time stamp, an extra column, that is the date and time at which the form is submitted. When the form will be submitted every time by a client, automatically the record will be created over here in our spreadsheet, because we have already linked this spreadsheet with our Google Forms. Okay, so when the record will be created, we want to transfer the response towards Pabbly Connect. So we have to set up the connection between this Google Sheet and Pabbly Connect. So when the form will be submitted, a row will be added over here with the details, and then the entire row will be immediately sent towards Pabbly Connect as well. Before moving forward towards creating the connection, first of all, let us capture a response over here. Okay, so to capture the response, I'm going to take you back towards my Google Forms. We will go towards the send section. We will go and copy the link of the form, and I will open it in a new tab. Okay, let's start entering the details. First of all, let's start with the name. Let's say the name of the person who is submitting this form is Smart Client. Okay, let's say the email of this person is smartclient@pabblycutes.com. Let's say the business name of this particular person is Sparkle Events. Then let's say the phone number of this person is, service which the person is selecting is, let's say, digital advertising. Now I'm going to simply click on submit. When the form is submitted, here we can see that the record is created. And as the record is created, now we are going to move forward towards setting up the connection between this Google Sheet and Pabbly Connect. Okay, so let's go towards extensions. Here we can see the option of add-ons. We have to go towards get add-ons. And over here, it is taking us towards Google Workspace Marketplace. So we have to search for Pabbly Connect Webhooks. Pabbly Connect Webhook is the add-on which we need to install in Google Sheets for building the connection between Google Sheets and Pabbly Connect. You can see I have already installed the add-on, so I have crossed that. But if you have installed the add-on for the very first time, you also have to refresh the spreadsheet. Then only you will be able to see the option of Pabbly Connect Webhooks under extensions. We have to do an initial setup to build the connection, in which we have to enter two details: webhook URL and the trigger column. So first of all, we have to enter the webhook URL. Let's go back towards Pabbly Connect. Once again, I will copy the webhook URL and I will paste it over here in this field. Then we have to enter the trigger column. Trigger column will be a final data column on which, if the data is entered, the whole of that row will be sent over the webhook URL. Okay, so here in my spreadsheet, in my case, you can see I have columns up till F. So when a new form will be submitted by a new client, the record will be added in this spreadsheet and it will be added up till F column. And as soon as it will be added up till F column, the data should be sent towards Pabbly Connect immediately. So in my case, F will be my trigger column. Okay, so according to the data of your form and your spreadsheet, you have to select the trigger column. Then we are going to send the test response of the smart client towards Pabbly Connect. Let's click on the send test button. The test data is sent successfully. Let's submit the initial setup over here and we'll cross this. Let's go back towards Pabbly Connect. You can see that the response is already captured. In the response, we have received all the details. Let's start reading them one by one. First of all, the trigger column which we have selected over here is F. Then we have the timestamp, that is the date and time at which the form is submitted. Over here we have the spreadsheet name, the spreadsheet ID, sheet name, sheet ID. Then we have the service selected by the client, digital advertising. Then we have the row index, that means the number of row in which we have the data over here, 2. Okay, we have the phone number of the client, their name, their email address and their company name. Okay, this means our connection between Google Sheets, that means Google Forms and Pabbly Connect is absolutely successful. But after building the connection, this is not just one thing. We also want that every time a new form will be submitted and the row will be added in our spreadsheet, the data should be keep on sending towards Pabbly Connect without any manual efforts. For that, we have to do one more thing. Let's go towards extensions, Pabbly Connect webhooks, and we have to click on this send on event button. That's it. As we have done that, we have made sure that now every time a new row will be added in this particular spreadsheet, the data will be keep on sending towards Pabbly Connect. As we have done that, now let's move forward towards creating the invoice for the response which we have received. To create the invoice in Xero, we have to set up the connection between Xero and Pabbly Connect. So let's go back towards our action step. We will select our action application as Xero. Then we have to select the action event. So our action event over here will be to create an invoice. Okay, then we have to build the connection. For building the connection, you can see I am already logged into my Xero account. Now I'm going to go towards connect section. We have two options over here to build this connection, add new connection and select existing connection. If you already have an existing connection, you can just go with that. But I am going to create a new one. So let's go towards add new connection and I will click on connect with Xero. Because I am already logged in, so the account is detected already, you can see. Okay, so I'm just going to click on allow access. Pabbly Connect is asking us for the permission to access our Xero account. Our data is 100% safe with Pabbly Connect, so we can fearlessly click on allow access and you can see our authorization has become successful. The connection between Xero and Pabbly Connect is built successfully. So just move forward towards entering the details now. First of all, it is asking us to select the organization, which is already selected over here. Then which type of invoice you want to create. This is a sales invoice. So here I'm going to select a sales invoice. Okay. Then here it is asking us name, invoice number, email address, date, etc. One by one, let's start entering these details. Actually, because we are automating the entire process of invoice generation, so the details which we are going to enter should be dynamic. Because we are not going to sit and change the details again and again for every new response. It should get replaced automatically by its own. Therefore, we have to enter the data in a dynamic form. So instead of entering these details manually, we will simply use mapping. Mapping is inserting data from previous step. You can see my previous step is given. We have all the details of the client as well as the company as well as the service. Here, first of all, we require the name. So for whom you want to create this invoice? I am going to create the invoice for the company on the behalf of the company. So what I'm going to do, here we have received the business name. I'm going to simply map this name over here and with a dash here, I'm going to map the name of the client as well. Okay, when I map this name of the business and the client, it has become dynamic. That means with each and every new response, automatically now it is going to replace. So every time a new form will be submitted by a client, the response is going to be captured. And with that response, automatically all the details which we are going to map are going to replace. In this way only, we will automate the entire process of invoice generation. Okay. In case, if we will enter the data manually over here by typing or by copy and pasting, then that data will become static and it is then not going to replace. Now we can ignore the field of invoice number because it will be added automatically. Then here it is asking us the email address. So let me map the email address over here. Then we have to enter the date. You can either enter the due date as well or the date on which you want to create the invoice. So because the payment will be after sending the invoice, I'm just going to give the date of the invoice generation only as the date of payment. So here I have to enter the date on which the invoice is being created in this particular format. year, month, date along with the time. You can see in the response we have received month, date and the year along with the time. So we have to change this format. How we are going to do that? By simply adding one action step in between, that will be of date time formatter. With the name, it is clear that date time formatter is a feature of Pabbly which helps us to format the date and time in the workflow according to our requirements. Our action event will be to format the date with time zone. Let's click on connect. Over here it is asking us the date which you want to format. So I want to format this date. Okay, then it is asking us in which format you have received the date. We have month, date and year along with the time zone. Okay, so I will simply select this. Then we have in which format you want the date. I want year, month, date and time, which is this. Okay, then here in which time zone you have received. I reside in India, so the time zone which I have received is Asia Kolkata, and also the time zone which I want will be Asia Kolkata only. Let's click on save and send test request button, and here we have received the response in the correct format of the date and time. So now let us simply map that. Done. Now if you want, you can enter the due date as well. I'm going to ignore this field. The reference also you can enter through which you have received this client or through which you are creating this invoice. Now it is asking us line amount types. So here in my service, I have not included any tax. So I'm going to select line have no tax. If you have to enter the tax, then you have to enter the percentage, etc. as well related to the product and service. Then we have the currency code, Indian rupee, currency rate. I'm going to ignore this field. We have the status of the invoice. So here I'm going to select draft. Okay. We have to enter the line item description for which item you are creating this invoice. So here we have the item that is a service for digital advertising. Here we have to ignore the field of quantity because we are selling up the services. Line item unit amount, this also I am going to ignore. Now we have very important thing, line item code. For each of the item, for each of the product or services, we have separate codes in Xero that I'm going to show you over here. This is my Xero account. We'll go towards the business section and we have the products and services section over here. And you can see I'm providing 3 services: content creation, digital advertising and consulting. For each of the service, I have different codes. 121 for content creation, 122 for digital advertising and 123 for consulting. In the similar manner, you can also create the products and services by separate codes over here in your Xero account. And when you will enter the code for each of the service, automatically the identification of that service along with the price which you have selected will be made by Xero and the invoice will be created. Okay. So in that case, what I'm going to do, because I have to make it dynamic, because any of the client could select any of the services. Either the client could go for selecting digital marketing, digital advertising, content creation, okay, like this. So here I could not change the data manually again and again because we are automating the process. Here, therefore, I will simply make the data dynamic. I will make the codes dynamic. For doing that, for making the data dynamic, we have to use mapping as I have told you. So let's turn this mapping button on. Here we have the code, but we are not going to select it manually. What we will do, we will use lookup over here. Okay, so that according to the service which is selected by the client, the code will be erased and the code will be then mapped over here. That I'm going to show you what we are going to do. So let's go up. We'll click on this add action step button in between. We will select our action application over here as lookup. The lookup table, okay, which is going to help us to identify the codes separately. Now we have to select the action event lookup table. Let's click on connect. Then here it is asking us lookup key. What is the key which you want to look for? I want to look for the code of the service. So you can see that here we have received a service. Let us map it from the previous step so that automatically it should get replaced with every new response. Then we are going to identify the values for each of the lookup key. When it will be digital marketing, what will be the value? When it will be content creation, what will be the value? And so on. So first of all, one by one, let's start entering the label. Over here you can see I have content creation. So let's copy it. Here I'm going to enter it in the label field and then we are going to provide the value for that. So the code for the content creation is 121. Okay, I'm going to enter it manually. Then here we are going to add label field 2 more times. Okay, the second service which I provide is digital advertising. Let's paste it over here. The code for it is, you can see, 122. So I will enter it 122. Then the third one is for consulting. Okay, I have entered it, and the code for that is 123, as you can see. So I will enter 123. So these are the labels and the values, that means the services and the codes for each of the services. Now we are going to search among these labels the code for digital advertising, the value which is received from the earlier response, that will be lookup. We want to look for the value for this service, and when we are now going to click on save and send test request button, here you can see that we have received the code for digital advertising, that is 122. Okay, in the similar manner, now every time the form will be submitted, over here the data, the lookup key will be mapped, and according to the lookup key, according to the values, the code will be received. And then we are going to map the code over here like this. Done. When we have mapped the item code, it will be identified, and now the name of the item, the code of the item, as well as the price which we have selected will be created and will be added in our invoice. Now we do not have to do much. We'll just go and click on save and send test request button. As we have done that, you can see that here we have received the response and we have all the details. So now I'm going to take you towards Xero. We will go towards accounting section. We will go towards business section. You will go towards invoices over here. And you can see that yes, the invoice is created on 6th of December. And over here you can see that when I'm going to open the invoice, we have received all the details. The name of the service, the code, the price which is decided, because I have not added the price over here in my field. Okay, it is already added because we have added the code. Okay, so this is the invoice which is generated for Sparkle Events, the name of the business, and we have the client name as well. This means our connection between Google Forms and Xero is absolutely successful. And now for any of the service, when the client is going to submit this Google form, automatically the invoice will be created for that client with all the details. Once we have completed this automation, let us check this connection once again, whether it is running fine or not. So I'm going to take you back towards Google Forms. I will once again copy the link of my form over here, and I will open it in a new tab. Once again, I will submit the details. Let's say this time the client's name is new client. Okay, let's say the email of this client is new31@pabblytudes.com. Let's say the business name is Fashion Fusion. Then the phone number, let's say, is, and at last the service selection this time is, let's say, content creation. Now I'm going to submit this form. As soon as the form is submitted, here we have the record, as you can see. And as the record is added over here, let's go and check whether the invoice is created for this new client of Fashion Fusion or not. Let's go back. And yes, here we can see that for Fashion Fusion, an invoice is created. We have the invoice number as well. And we have all the details, the code of the service, the description of the service. Over here, you can see we have the price and the invoice is ready. This means our connection is absolutely successful and also our workflow is running fine. So what we have done, we have just taken very simple steps: trigger in action. In trigger, we have taken Google Forms, and in action, we have taken date, time formatter, lookup table, and Xero. And we have connected all of them in such a way that now every time a new form will be submitted by an interested client in any of my freelancing services, automatically according to the details of that client, an invoice will be generated. Also, because I have identified the codes for different services which I am providing, according to that code, all the details of my service will also be added in the invoice along with the price and the code. So I hope this automation is clear to you. Also, it is helpful for your business. You will be able to systematically manage your payments, your transactions, and the finance of your business with the help of this automation. Thank you for watching.
Not only these applications, but you can integrate multiple such amazing applications with the help of Pabbly Connect. Now, if you have any doubt, you can email us at support@pabbly.com. If you want to ask any doubt, you can write us at forum.pabbly.com. And if you want to ask about the pricing, you can visit this website given over here. Do not forget to share our videos, like our video, and also subscribe our channel for more such amazing automations.